folks. I'm the Deaf Rider, captain of the starship Pentameter. A year ago, I was kidnapped and transported 1 billion light years into space. For reasons unknown, deep thought, an alien intelligence that survives in deep space, presented me with a starship and told me to seek my destiny, whatever that might be. It turns out my kidnapping occurred just as a monumental disaster struck my homeworld, and I'm now the last human being alive, seeking to preserve human culture by broadcasting poetry into the galaxy once a week. While trying to reach the Krell Emperor with news of the arrival of a 30,000-year-old threat to the galaxy, we have found ourselves under fire from Imperial Krell forces. Something is deeply amiss. Additional. The kangaroo people of Mars wish their species to be reclassified as marsupials.
Hello, it's X-37, the synthetic first mate here. Our journey through space has taken us to many unusual places where we have seen many unusual life forms. The Icthelian bid to buy the mining rights to Alpha Centauri asteroid field has failed due to a lack of liquidity. They were hoping to buy now and pay Crater. My captain is the last human being in the galaxy. Following the destruction of his home planet with the incredibly boring name of Earth, we have been drifting through space on the starship Pentameter, reciting poems and trying to survive the rigors of space travel. Right now, we are trying to bring a warning to the Emperor of the Krell Empire.
This is the
communication suite aboard the Pentameter that doubles as my laboratory. To pass the time, I employ my planet-sized intellect, solving the galaxy's most pressing scientific dilemmas.
You're supposed to be setting up the broadcast space, X-37, not conducting any of your weird experiments. I'm sick of having to repair damaged equipment.
No, something is very wrong. I seem to have changed my shape. Uh-oh. I think things are going even more wrong.
What a mess. X-37, I thought you said you weren't conducting any more experiments.
I can't even seem to appear on screen. Things are very definitely messed up this morning.
Never mind. Bring up the interface.
Three, two, one. And hello and welcome to our somewhat glitchy show this morning. We are currently broadcasting our show while deciding how to respond to the recent Krell attack on our starship. We recently discovered a 30,000-year-old threat to the galaxy and we're on our way to report it. but are now very uncertain of our welcome in Krell space. I'm the Deaf Rider, and no matter what your species, number of heads, or planet of origin, you are all very welcome here. In other news, the presidency of Genome 12 is being contested. For the first time, by a chemist. Regarding Genome 12's economic and political woes, she claims to have all the solutions. Hi folks, welcome in. Hi Tim Tam, how are you? Robotham J, great to see you with me. Thanks for dropping by today. I hope you're going to have a good time visiting it with us. Let me see. There are a couple of housekeeping things that have to be dealt with today. I should say we didn't get the chance to... Good morning, Fizzban DM. Welcome in from Barton 46. Great to see you joining us. I have to say we didn't have a great opportunity to do our rehearsal last night, so I'm finding all kinds of technology glitches this morning. We'll do our best to overcome them, but hopefully we'll have a great show for you regardless. Let me talk through quickly some of the housekeeping issues. Our stream has a few rules, so I'm going to bring those up to start with. We ask that visitors to our stream be kind, be respectful, keep the language clean where we welcome kids and families to our stream. Don't ask for or give away personal information for your own protection. Don't spam our commands, though you're very welcome to use any of the commands we make available. Don't spam or promote yourself to other viewers unless you've spoken to me about it first. Be curious and willing to join in, take on a role within our universe. Those, of course, are not compulsory rules, but we do encourage everybody to take part in the show and choose yourself a planet to come from and a species to be a part of. And let us know in the chat. I will attempt to draw your species and have it available when you visit with us in future episodes. Okay, without referring to those last two, violators will be banned. We won't be tolerating anyone who comes on and is unkind or disrespectful to our audience. I mentioned that we have a number of commands, so I'll pop our commands up on the screen for you very briefly. Most of our commands are accessed with !W. !W commands lists all the commands that are available. !SL brings up a link to the poetry request list so that you can request poems from our list. If you want to show your appreciation during the stream, we have the !W applause, on fire, party, wow, cool, and amazing commands available to you. And should you wish to interact with other members of our audience, we have the hug command, the throw command, the attack command, the sling command, and the bomb command, which allows you to interact with the avatars that appear at the bottom of our screen. Here we are again. Let's talk about our screen very quickly. We have up in the right-hand corner there our famous punometer. And should you happen to leave us a pun in the chat, I will award you a star. We aim for 5 stars a week. if we can do it. Last week we only achieved 1, so get your puns into gear, audience. As well as this week's featured poet is Gerard Manley Hopkins, and we'll be featuring 3 of his poems in today's show. Make that go away. For those who want to see the poem list, here's where the poems that are requested appear. We have 5 in there at the moment that will be done during our show, but please request as many poems as you like from the request list. To see the request list, follow the link that my mods have put up in the chat, and you can enter the request list using your Twitch login. It's just a click. There's no obligation. It doesn't take any data or do anything like that. And then click on the request that you feel like hearing. We have 233 poems in our list at present, which is plenty of poetry and should make it possible for you to find something that you would like to hear. All right. Make that go back. And here we are again. If you happen to be lurking in the background today, visiting with me, give me a follow. If you enjoy what you see, we're always keen to have visitors and followers join us. Jack J. Ward, welcome in from Proxima Centauri B. Lovely to see you this morning. Why don't we get our show underway? Thank you all for dropping by. I hope you're having a great day today. On planet Australia, there is an election being held today, so I wasn't sure whether I would have many visitors from planet Australia today, with many people going up to line up and cast their vote. We cast our vote during the week, so it's all been done. Let's see. Our first poem. Let's have a look. So we'll take the toggle off and jump to our first poem of the day. This poem is a slight change this week. Normally we would do our theme poem, The Invitation to Dinner, but in light of the election taking place, I thought I would choose The Fuse is Lit to open our show today. This poem was written by yours truly back in 1999, a long time ago now. Oops. Here we go. The fuse is lit. Somewhere the fuse is lit. I can hear it hissing. A long fuse that trails beneath the floor and through the walls and snakes through all the places I frequent. The dread is growing and I can't find the bomb. All I know is that when the spark runs out of fuse, the bomb will be right beneath my feet. So that was our first poem for the day. The Fuse is Lit by the Deaf Writer. And I've got some issues with my controls today. Nothing is moving quite as quickly as I had intended. There we go, it's working now. A few technical glitches this morning. Let's see what's happening in the chat. We've got Jack Ward has arrived. I need to go back and have a look and see who is here. I can see that Fizzban DM has joined us as well and said hello. Hey Tim Tam, I'm having a rough day, had miserable dental work yesterday and I'm suffering for it. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Jack. I hope you feel better very soon. It's awful. Tooth pain is just one of those awful things to try and cope with. Fizzban DM, I also had dental work yesterday in the chair. Fizzban DM, we got to vote at Old Parliament House today though. So looking forward to that. Okay. And we've got a couple of requests turning up. Jack Ward, sorry Fizz, was supposed to be an hour, but it ended up 2.5 hours. They had to freeze you twice. Oh, how awful. Awful, awful. Well, I hope, my dear friends, that despite sore and sorry mouths, that this might cheer you up a little bit, being here and joining us today to listen to some poetry. Let's see, where are we? Let's take a look at our first poem by our featured artist today, our featured poet, Gerard Manley Hopkins. And the poem that we are going to take a look at is Spring and Fall to a Young Girl by Gerard Manley Hopkins. This one has some artwork that I did to go along with it. You can see here my portrait of Gerard Manley Hopkins. I misspelled his name. It's Manley. So, whoops. But never mind. And we also have my image here of a young girl looking at her aging face in the mirror, which I thought was rather topical. Any poems about teeth or dentistry about? Might have to have a quick look and see. Yes. I Wish I'd Looked After Me Teeth by Pam Ayres. So there is that one. We'll do that one today for you poor guys. Okay. You poor folks. Here we go. Spring and Fall to a Young Girl by Gerard Manley, still misspelled, Hopkins. Margaret, are you grieving over Golden Grove unleaving? Leaves like the things of man you with your fresh thoughts care for, can you? As the heart grows older, it will come to such sights colder. By and by, nor spare a sigh, though worlds of wanwood leaf meal lie, and yet you will weep and know why. Now no matter, child, the name, sorrow's springs are the same. Foremouth had no nor mind expressed, that heart heard of, ghost guessed. It is the blight man was born for. It is Margaret you mourn for. And that was To a Young Girl by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Let's jump back into the main area here and see what we have on our list. We have To an Athlete Dying Young already on our list. So To an Athlete Dying Young. I seem to be a little lost in my collection today. Where has To an Athlete Dying Young disappeared to? I know it's around here somewhere. Good grief. It's Houseman. I'm going the wrong way. A.E. Houseman. Back to the beginning. A.E. Houseman, to an athlete dying young. And this particular poem was requested by Robotham J. Thank you for the request, Robotham J. Let's jump into To an Athlete Dying Young. This is another one with some original artwork of mine. Here is, oops, it didn't quite come into screen properly. Why not? Oh, I know. This is what happens, folks, when you don't have time to do a proper rehearsal. So here's A.E. Houseman, a little portrait of the man, and my illustration there to illustrate To an Athlete Dying Young. This was written in 1896 by A.E. Houseman. The time you won your town the race, we cheered you through the marketplace. Man and boys stood cheering by, and home we brought you shoulder high. Today, the road all runners come, shoulder high we bring you home, and set you at your threshold down, townsman of a stiller town. Smart lad to slip betimes away from fields where glory does not stay, and early through the laurel grows it withers, and early though the laurel grows it withers quicker than the rose. Eyes the shady night has shut cannot see the record cut, and silence sounds no worse than cheers after earth has stopped the ears. Now you will not swell the rout of lads that wore their honours out, runners whom renown outran, and the name died before the man. So set before its echoes fade the fleet foot on the sill of shade, and hold to the low lintel up that still defended challenge cup. And round the early laurelled head will flock to gaze the strengthless dead, and find unwithered on its curls the garland briefer than a girl's. And that was To an Athlete Dying Young by A.E. Houseman for Robotham J. Thank you for that request, Robotham J. Well, what's been happening in the chat? What have I missed? No, we're all good. So that was our first set of 3 poems done this morning. I believe that X37 wants to drop by and give us some information about Gerard Manley Hopkins.
Hi there. While you're thinking about poems to request, I'd like to inform you about Gerard Manley Hopkins. Gerard Manley Hopkins' nickname as a teenager at school was Skin. He was homeschooled until he was about 10, and then almost got expelled from the school he eventually attended. The Hopkins family motto was esse quan videri, to be rather than to seem. By the time Hopkins had begun writing poems seriously, the best-selling poetry book of the century was John Keeble's The Christian Year, which went through 150 editions and sold 350,000 copies.
Thanks for those facts, X37. Those of you watching will notice that we don't have our usual quick facts screens coming up today. We've had an upgrade in the software we use to broadcast, and it has removed a feature that we've been relying on. So until we have figured out an alternative, things won't look quite the same as they did in previous weeks. Fizzband DM chosen a poem. Robotham J has requested another poem. Okay, we've got some more poems in our list. That's great. Let's see, what's next? We've been adding cards we've been adding poet trading cards to our show. And we've had a few come up over the weeks. Last week we didn't get a new one though. So I might show off some of the trading cards that we have put together. We have Edgar Allan Poe, we have William Shakespeare, we have J.R.R. Tolkien in our trading card collection. We have Sylvia Plath, Alfred Lord Tennyson, and George Gordon Lord Byron in our collection. We also have Walt Whitman, William Blake, and Jean de La Fontaine in our collection. Should you happen to be able to think of someone to add this week that you would think would make a great addition to our trading cards, let me know, and I will try to produce a portrait and trading card for that particular poet. Always keen to have new poets to draw each week. Speaking of Shakespeare, I've been hard at work on my Shakespearean comedy. It's going very well. I hope to record by the end of the month. Fantastic. Great news. For those who are unfamiliar with Jack J. Ward is a writer and producer of audio drama, as well as a fierce promoter of that art, and I would be looking forwards to hearing his Shakespearean comedy when it comes out. Which comedy are you planning to do? Jack? I'd love to know. And please, if you happen to be online, check out the Sonic Society. Look it up. It showcases a lot of the best audio drama being produced today, and a really good show to check out. Did we see Coleridge? Sorry, my brain isn't on the uptake. Probably funnier than any of Shakespeare's comedies. Thanks very much, my friend. Actually, it's original in the Shakespearean style. It's called The Gift of Venice or On Coming Out. Okay. And I guess if you're just about to get production happening, it'll be a little while before it's released. But I hope you come back on the show here and let us know when it comes out, and I'll give it a big plug. Okie doke. So yeah, if you do happen to have a poet that you think would be worthy of a trading card, drop their name in the chat. We'll be keen to see if I can't draw up another card this week sometime. Okay, don't forget the request list is there, and I'm glad to see we've got a few requests appearing in the request list.
Hello, I'd like to tell a joke.
Uh-oh. I guess we can cope with that.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Snow.
Snow who?
Snow use. I can't stay outside any longer. Let me in.
Oh, I'm really hard pressed to figure out whether that's better than your average joke or not, X37. Anyway, let's move on and take a look at the next of our featured poems today. This one is Thou art indeed just, Lord, if I contend. So let me find this one by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Thou art indeed just, Lord, if I contend, by Gerard Manley Hopkins. X37 needs to chill on these jokes. That joke was stone cold. Caught the last Retro Rockets last Sunday. Now I have to go find the list for requests. If you look at the top of the chat, there should be a pinned post that will let you go directly to the request list, Jack. If you're looking to do that, they do tend to get a frosty reception. That's three. We're off to a great start today. 1 star, 2 stars, and 3 stars on our punometer for the start of the show today. Well done, audience of mine. Great to see you contributing puns already. Let's see. Yes. We're doing Thou Art Just, Lord, If I Contend by Gerard Manley Hopkins, in which this time I've spelt it correctly. Justus quidem tu es, Domine si disputum tecum, verum tamen justa loquare ad te, quare via impiorum prosperitur, etc. Thou art indeed just, Lord, if I contend with thee. But, sir, so what I plead is just. Why do sinners' ways prosper? And why must disappointment all I endeavour end? Wert thou my enemy, O thou my friend, how wouldst thou worse, I wonder, than thou dost defeat and thwart me? Oh, the sots and thralls of lust do in spare hours more thrive than I that spend, sir, life upon thy cause. See banks and breaks, now levied how thick, laced they are again with fretty chervel. Look, and fresh wind shakes them, birds build, but not I build. No, but strain time's eunuch and not breed one work that wakes. Mine, O thou Lord of life, send my roots rain. And that was Thou art just, Lord, if I contend. A lament of sorts about the injustice of life by a man of faith. Gerard Manley Hopkins was a Jesuit priest. Let's return to our poetry list. Let's have a look and see what else is happening in the chat. They do tend to get a frosty reception. It's because they're not very ice to listen to. I think that earns another one. So 4 stars already. Wow, that's really pushing up the list. I hadn't heard of The Knight Whose Armor Didn't Squeak before. Would love to hear it. Fantastic. I think, yes, Robotham J has popped that in the list for you. Jack J. Ward. And let's have a look at what we've got in our list next. And next is Oh, I Wish I'd Looked After Me Teeth, a marvellous little Pam Ayres poem. So jumping through to find, whoops, went too far. Or did I? It must be at the very end because I haven't put it in alphabetical order yet. Oops. Deaf writer, keep going. John Sullivan Dwight. Pam Ayres, oh, I wish I'd looked after me teeth. So we'll bring this in. Oh, I wish I'd looked after me teeth by Pam Ayres. Requested by... who requested this one? Fizzban DM, but dedicated to all of you poor folks who are coping with dental work at the moment. Oh, I wished I'd looked after me teeth and spotted the dangers beneath. All the toffees I chewed and the sweet sticky food. Oh, I wish I'd looked after me teeth. I wish I'd been that much more willin' when I had more tooth there than fillin', to give up gobstoppers from respect to me choppers and to buy something else with me shillin'. When I think of the lollies I licked and the licorice all sorts I picked, sherbet dabs big and little, all that hard peanut brittle, my conscience gets horribly pricked. My mother, she told me no end, if you got a tooth, you got a friend. I was young then and careless, my toothbrush was hairless, I never had much time to spend. Oh, I showed them the toothpaste all right, I flashed it about late at night, but up and down brushing and poking and fussing didn't seem worth the time. I could bite. If I'd known I was paving the way to cavities, caps and decay, the murder of fillings, injections and drillings, I'd have thrown all me sherbet away. So I lie in the old dentist's chair and I gaze up his nose in despair, and his drill it do whine in these molars of mine. To amalgam, he'll say, for in there. How I laughed at my mother's false teeth as they foamed in the waters beneath. But now comes the reckoning, it's me they are beckoning. Oh, I wish I'd looked after me teeth. And that was I Wish I'd Looked After Me Teeth by Pam Ayres. I hope it cheers you a little bit if you're coping with sore teeth today. Let's have a little bit more information about Gerard Manley Hopkins from X37.
When Hopkins saw Tintern Abbey made famous by Wordsworth, he declared it to be merely typical English workmanship. Okay, his actual words were typical English work. This is how close in time Hopkins is to us. His sister Katie lived until 1933, and his sister Millicent until 1946. His brother Lionel, an agnostic, lived until 1952, having never understood his brother's path in life. Hopkins' father, Manley, was also a poet and dedicated one of his books to his friend, the comic and picture poet Thomas Hood. As well as being a poet, Hopkins was a Jesuit priest.
Thanks for those facts, X37. Let's see, what's the next poem in our list? Looking back, at the poem list, we have The Cremation of Sam McGee. Oh, this was a new one that was suggested a couple of weeks ago by Jack J. Ward. And bone-chilling. Excellent. I think that we just made our 5th star. Yay! 5 stars. Well done, team. Getting to 5 pun stars today. What's a picture poet? You know, I don't actually know. Maybe I can get one of my mods to check online very quickly and tell us what a picture poet is, because I don't actually know. I imagine it's probably, and this is just a complete guess, possibly a poet who does illustrations in the form of a picture book around their poetry. But I couldn't tell you. Maybe it's a poet that creates imagery. Any of you happen to know? Please post in the chat. Weirdly, it didn't prompt that question when I was looking up the information. Anyway, back to our list, and our next poem is The Cremation of Sam McGee. Let's see. I think this one is at the back of the list. Robert W. Service, The Cremation of Sam McGee. This one has fast become a favourite of mine. I do enjoy this poem, though I hadn't heard it before it was suggested. So thank you very much, Mr. Jack J. Ward, for this particular suggestion. The Cremation of Sam McGee by Robert W. Service. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge. I cremated Sam McGee. Now Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the south to roam round the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, but the land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell, though he'd often say, in his homely way, that he'd sooner live in hell. On a Christmas day we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail. Talk of your cold, through the parka's fold it stabbed like a driven nail. If our eyes we'd close, then the lashes froze till sometimes we couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. And that very night, as we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, and the dogs were fed and the stars o'erhead were dancing heel and toe, he turned to me, and Cap, says he, I'll cash in this trip, I guess, and if I do, I'm asking that you won't refuse my last request. Well, he seemed so low that I couldn't say no. Then he says with a sort of moan, it's the cursed cold, and it's got right hold till I'm chilled clean through to the bone. Yet 'tain't being dead, it's my awful dread of the icy grave that pains. Oh, I want you to swear that foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains. A pal's last need is a thing to heed, so I swore I would not fail. And we started on at the streak of dawn, but God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched on the sleigh and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee, and before nightfall a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried, horror-driven, with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, "You may tax your brawn and brains, but you promised true, and it's up to you to cremate these last remains." Now promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were dumb, in my heart how I cursed that load. In the long, long night by the lone firelight, while the huskies round in a ring howled out their woes to the homeless snows, oh God, how I loathed the thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed to heavy and heavier grow, and on I went though the dogs were spent and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad and I felt half mad, but I swore I would not give in, and I'd often sing to the hateful thing, and it hearkened with a grin. Till I came to the marge of Lake Labarge, and a derelict there lay. It was jammed in the ice, but I saw in a trice it was called the Alice May. And I looked at it and I thought a bit, and I looked at my frozen chum. Then, "Here," said I with a sudden cry, "is my crematorium." So planks I tore from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying around, and I heaped the fuel higher. The flames just soared and the furnace roared, such a blaze you seldom see. And I burrowed a hole in the glowing coal, and I stuffed in Sam McGee. Then I made a hike, for I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. And the heavens scowled and the huskies howled, and the wind began to blow. It was icy cold, but the hot sweat rolled down my cheeks, and I didn't know why. And the greasy smoke in an inky cloak went streaking down the sky. I do not know how long in the snow I wrestled with grisly fear, but the stars came out, and they danced about ere again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said, "I'll just take a peek inside. I guess he's cooked and it's time I looked." Then the door I opened wide, and there sat Sam looking cool and calm in the heart of the furnace roar. And he wore a smile you could see a mile, and he said, "Please, close that door. It's fine in here, but I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and storm. Since I left Plum Tree down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm." There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge when I cremated Sam McGee. And that was the cremation of Sam McGee. For Robotham J by Robert W. Service. Thank you for that request. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And that was the third poem in this particular set. Before we move on, I'm curious to know. Oh, thank you for the claps. Thank you, and welcome in, Be Like Dory from Neptune. Good to see you today. Oh, thank you for the on fire, Fizzban. Lovely to see you. I hope you're having a good day. Have you been out and done your civic duty, or is that for later on today? Be interested to know if everybody has gotten in early or likes to leave it late when it comes to voting on the planet Australia. My question for the chat is, what is the most thought-provoking poem that you are aware of? What thoughts did the poem provoke for you? So contribute to the chat. Let us know what poems you find really thought-provoking. And Be Like Dory got in early. Yeah, we did ours during the week, actually. We did early voting ourselves. Be interesting to see how it all turns out. Just letting everybody know, we have a Discord channel that you're welcome to sign up to. Our Discord channel contains links to Canadians had theirs on Monday past. Oh, so you've had a national election as well. It seems there are a few about. I think there was something significant going on in the UK as well. Or maybe I've gotten that wrong. I'm not remembering very well today. Feel free to check out our Discord channel. We have a book of poems there that you can download for free and read along if you're interested in it. We also have our marvelous promotional game available there, and I might tell you about that in a little while.
But in the meantime, I've got another joke.
Uh-oh. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Oh, that's just a nuisance. How do I get rid of that?
Okay, folks, I'm having some difficulties. I am beginning to really dislike Windows. They've just put a pop-up ad in front of my interface, advertising to me when I really don't want it. Never mind. Let's hear X37's next terrible joke.
Thank you. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Anita.
Anita who?
I need to use the bathroom. Please let me in.
That's not great. Boo Windows from Robotham J. Yeah, we don't like what's happening in our operating system. I did not ask for ads to be forced upon me when I'm trying to use my computer. You'd think that we would be safe from that, wouldn't we? But no. Let's see. We're up to our third set, and that means taking a look at our final Gerard Manley Hopkins featured poem for the day. So let me jump back a few pages and find Mr. Hopkins. Oops, one too many. This poem that we're going to look at is Pied Beauty. Pied Beauty by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Pied Beauty by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Glory be to God for dappled things, for skies of couple colour as a brinded cow, for rose moles all in stipple upon trout that swim, fresh fire coal chestnut falls, finches' wings, landscape plotted and pieced, fold, fallow and plough, and all trades their gear and tackle and trim. All things counter, original, spare, strange, whatever is fickle, freckled, who knows how, with swift, slow, sweet, sour, a dazzle dim, he fathers forth whose beauty his past change. Praise him. And that was Pied Beauty by Gerard Manley Hopkins, a poem about the beauty of the imperfect, the beauty of that which is not symmetrical, the beauty of that which is freckled and might appear tainted in some eyes, yet is designed by the Creator. A lovely little poem, that one. And that was our last poem from Gerard Manley Hopkins, our featured poet this week. Let's see, what do we have coming up next? Some final bits of information about Mr. Gerard Manley Hopkins. So over to you, X37.
Hopkins' father was in the insurance business, a self-made man who lifted himself from poverty to master French, Latin, and Greek on his own. Hopkins' family had many ties to Hawaii, of all places. Hopkins' maternal grandfather was a doctor who got his medical training in London with John Keats, the famous poet. Hopkins' first published poem consists of 32 lines in terza rima, a particular form.
Thanks so much for doing that research for us, X37, and giving us some information about Gerard Manley Hopkins. I'm going to look back over the chat and see if somebody discovered what a picture poet was. Dory came in. Jack Ward, love the accent. Oh, thank you for that, Jack. No, we still don't know what a picture poet is. Well, I couldn't find any info, says Robotham J. Google doesn't know. Want me to break out the Britannica? Absolutely. When the internet fails, you can always trust the Britannica. For those who are unfamiliar, Robotham J knows me very well and knows that I have a set of the Britannica on my shelves that lots and lots of people tease me about, because why do I need such a thing in the age of the internet? Well, I love my Britannica. I'm not getting rid of it anytime soon. Let's see. What's our next poem? Weapons training for, I think it's for Fizban DM, is that right? Weapons training by Bruce Dorr for Fizban DM. Let's bring that one up and have a look. Weapons training by Bruce Dorr. Oops, that wasn't what I wanted to have happen. Fix that. Yep. And toggle in our screen. There we go. Just a reminder, if you happen to be lurking about today, and I'd be thrilled if you would introduce yourself in the chat and say hi to our friendly little community here. And also would be very grateful for a follow if you are at all inclined. But you're very welcome to lurk as well. That's fine too. Not meaning to place any pressure. Weapons Training by Bruce Dorr. And when I say eyes right, I want to hear those eyeballs click and the gentle pitter-patter of falling dandruff. You there, what's the matter? Why are you looking at me? Are you queer? Look to your front. If you had one more brain, it'd be lonely. What are you laughing at? You in the back row with the unsightly fat between your elephant ears. Open that drain. You call a mind and listen. Remember first the cockpit drill when you go down. Be sure the old crown jewels are safely tucked away. What could be more distressing than to hold off with a burst? From your trusty weapon, a mob of the little yellows, only to find back home because of your position, your chances of turning the key in the ignition considerably reduced. All right, now suppose, for the sake of argument, that you've got a number 1 blockage and a brand new pack of Charlies are coming at you. You can smell their rotten fish sauce breath hot on the back of your stupid neck. All right, now, what are you going to do about it? That's right, grab and check. The magazine man, it's not a woman's tit. Worse luck, or you'd be set too late, you nit. They're on you and your tripes around your neck. You've copped the bloody lot, just like I said, and you know what you are? You're dead, dead, dead. Weapons Training. Where Bruce Dorr personifies his, I guess you'd call it Sergeant Major, gunnery sergeant perhaps, teaching them how to use their weapons and berating them consistently as they learn to use their guns, the experience of men being trained for war. Let's see. Robotham J went off to have a look in the Britannica. Nothing there. I checked under picture and under poetry, and neither mentioned picture poetry. In that case, I guess we can just make up our own definition until corrected. All right, that was Weapons Training by Bruce Dorr. As I read that, it really reminded me of those opening scenes in Full Metal Jacket with the commander, drill sergeant. There it is. With the drill sergeant giving the Marines such a hard time as he trained them. Right, where were we? Returning to our list. Before we do our next request, what is the most challenging or difficult poem you've ever tried to read and understand? Did you conquer it? How? Or did it defy your best attempt at understanding it? What techniques do you use to try to decode difficult poetry? Have a list of your thoughts in the chat. I'd be really interested to know. What's this? X37 is just like typical AI, making up terms like picture poet that don't mean anything. That's quite possible. What do you think, X37? Did you make it all up?
No, I did not. And I'll have you know that I don't make up information. Is
that right? Well, we're not so sure. Did you just crib those notes off AI?
I did not, but I did get them off the internet.
Well, there's a problem in and of itself. We'll just have to see. Yeah, I'd be interested to know your your thoughts on decoding difficult poems. Some poems, I suspect, aren't meant to be decoded. I really love The Second Coming by William Butler Yeats, and it's very hard to make any sense of that poem, and yet it still is highly affecting to me. And it does have a message. There is a message there, but it's still a lot there that is difficult to understand. Okay. So, yep, love to hear from you. How about the Jabberwocky for nonsense poems? Yeah, there's one that's difficult to decode. Though very interestingly, I read an annotated Alice in Wonderland that went through Lewis Carroll's own notes about the Jabberwocky. And according to Carroll himself, it's a poem about the destruction of the Anglo-Saxon language. Uses a whole bunch of portmanteau words, many of them from the Angles and Saxons, that was been done over time, been replaced over time by Norman and other terms. Fizzband DM, I was recently struggling with a poetic passage in Ecclesiastes, and then after reading it over a few times, it came to me that it was about getting old. Oh, I think I know the passage that you were talking to. Jack Ward, wow, that's fascinating. I had no idea. Yeah, I didn't either, but it is a really interesting insight into the Jabberwocky. If I can find that particular bit of commentary, I might send it to you, Jack. I've got your email somewhere about. If I remember, got to trust my memory to remember to do it. Let's see, what's our next poem in the list? Our next poem is The Knight Whose Armour Didn't Squeak. Another favourite poem, it seems, amongst those that we do semi-regularly. The Knight Whose Armour Didn't Squeak by A. Milne. The Knight Whose Armour Didn't Squeak. And we have room for 2 more poems in today's show. So please, if you haven't yet made a request, or even if you have, I'd love to fill the last 2 spots in our request list for today. In the meantime, here is The Knight Whose Armour Didn't Squeak by Mr. A. Milne. Oops, got to toggle in first. By Mr. A. Milne. There's my little bit of artwork on A. Milne, and there's my attempt at drawing the Knight Whose Armour Didn't Squeak. Here we go. Of all the knights in Appledore, the wisest was Sir Thomas Thom. He multiplied as far as 4, and knew what 9 was taken from to make 11. He could write a letter to another knight. No other knight in all the land could do the things which he could do. Not only did he understand the way to polish swords, but knew what remedy a knight should squeak, whose armour, what remedy a knight should seek, whose armour had begun to squeak. And if he didn't fight too much, it wasn't that he didn't care for blips and buffetings and such, but felt that it was hardly fair to risk by frequent injuries a brain as delicate as his. His Castle Thom, was set conveniently on a hill, And daily when it wasn't wet, he paced the battlements until some smaller knight who couldn't swim should reach the moat and challenge him. Or sometimes, feeling full of fight, he hurried out to scour the plain, and seeing some approaching knight, he either hurried home again or hid, and when the foe was past, blew a triumphant trumpet blast. One day, when good Sir Thomas Thom was resting in a handy ditch, the noises he was hiding from, though very much the noises which he'd always hidden from before, seemed somehow less. Or was it more? The trotting horse, the trumpet's blast, the whistling sword, the armour's squeak, these, and especially the last, had clattered by him all the week. Was this the same, or was it not? Something was different. But what? Sir Thomas raised a cautious ear and listened as Sir Hugh went by, and suddenly he seemed to hear, or not to hear, the reason why this stranger made a nicer sound than other knights who lived around. Sir Thomas watched the way he went. His rage was such he couldn't speak. For years they'd called him down in Kent the knight whose armour didn't squeak. Yet here and now he looked upon another knight whose squeak was gone. He rushed to where his horse was tied. He spurred it to a rapid trot. The only fear he felt inside about his enemy was not how sharp his sword, how stout his heart, but has he got too long a start? Sir Hugh was singing hand on hip when something sudden came along and caught him a terrific blip right in the middle of his song. A thunderstorm? He thought. Of course. And gently toppled off his horse. Then said the good Sir Thomas Thom, dismounting with a friendly air, "Allow me to extract you from the heavy armour that you wear. At times like these the bravest knight may find his armour much too tight." 100 yards or so beyond the scene of brave Sir Hugh's defeat, Sir Thomas found a useful pond, and careful not to wet his feet, he brought the armour to the brink and flung it in and watched it sink. So ever after, more and more, the men of Kent would proudly speak of Thomas Thom of Appledore, the knight whose armour didn't squeak, while Hugh, the knight who gave him best, squeaks just as badly as the rest. And that was the knight whose armour didn't squeak, requested by... I missed it. It disappeared too quickly. But I think that was a request by Jack J. Ward. So thank you for that request. Much appreciated. Let's see. Back we go. Back to the communication suite. Let's see. We're still in need of one more poem to round out our day, our show today. So while you're thinking about what poem you might like to request, we might hear another joke from X37. I can see him in the back there just itching to give us another joke.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Aldo.
Aldo who?
Aldo, anything to come inside.
I'm detecting a little bit of a theme in your knock knock jokes today. Well, thank you, X37, for those jokes. In particular, thank you that was the last one for today's show.
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Yes, X37.
I think we're about to get a visit from Deep Thought.
As usual, the timing's terrible.
Don't shoot the messenger. I just thought you should know.
Okay, well, let's see if we can do a poem before he arrives. Let's see, what's on our list? Oh, Crossing of the Bar. Thank you. I would love to do that poem. Crossing of the Bar, Alfred Lord Tennyson. So, is this one, who's requesting this one? Or Robotham J. Thank you for that request, Robotham J. We have a little bit of art here. Oops. And I keep forgetting to toggle in first. Let's see. There we go. And have a look at my illustration of Alfred Lord Tennyson, as well as the picture of the boat crossing the bar today. Ugbot. Okay. Crossing the Bar, 1889, Alfred Lord Tennyson. Sunset and evening star and one clear call for me, and may there be no moaning of the bar when I put out to sea, but such a tide as moving seems asleep, too full for sound and foam, when that which drew me from out the boundless deep turns again for home. Twilight and evening bell, and after that the dark, and may there be no sadness of farewell when I embark. For though from out our bourne of time and place the flood may bear me far, I hope to see my pilot face to face when I have crossed the bar. And that was The Crossing of the Bar by Alfred Lord Tennyson. I'm going to try and sneak in a second poem before we deal with Deep Thought. So let's have a look at what the next request was. I felt a funeral in my brain. Okay, let's find I Felt a Funeral in My Brain by Emily Dickinson, and another request for Robotham J. But a great little poem. We have here my illustration of Emily Dickinson, as well as a little illustration of men in boots clomping across the floor in the funeral in her brain. This was written in 1896 and is basically a poem about an awful migraine for any of you that are suffering from migraines, and possibly not that different to suffering from tooth pain, I suspect, as well, for those of you who are recovering from dental work today. I felt a funeral in my brain, and mourners to and fro kept treading, till it seemed that sense was breaking through. And when they all were seated, a service like a drum kept beating till I thought my mind was going numb. And then I heard them lift a box and creak across my soul with those same boots of lead again. Then space began to toll, as all the heavens were a bell, and being but an ear, and I and silence some strange race wrecked solitary here. And then a plank in reason broke, and I dropped down and hit a world at every plunge, and finished knowing then. And as I've said before, I love that ending. The pain reaches such a crescendo that she falls into unconsciousness. But the sleep is reviving, and then there is an aftermath, a small moment of hope at the end of that particular poem. Okay. Back to the communications suite on board the starship Pentameter. I think Deep Thought is on his way.
Hello, mere mortal. It is I, Deep Thought, the most handsome incorporeal brain in the entire universe.
How can you be handsome and incorporeal?
Handsome is as handsome does.
Never mind.
I am here for my weekly poem.
Your weekly poem, huh? Well, what'll it be?
A poem that continues to express the adventure and wonder of a great journey.
Oh, I think I know where this is going.
Recite for me the second fit of the hunting of the Snark by Lewis Carroll.
Okay, here comes your poem. Lewis Carroll's The Hunting of the Snark, Bit the Second. Well, at least Deep Thought has decent taste from time to time. The Hunting of the Snark, Bit the Second. And let's toggle in. There we are. There is my illustration of Lewis Carroll. And this is the second fit, the second part of The Hunting of the Snark. Fit the second, the bellman's speech. The bellman himself they all praised to the skies. Such a carriage, such ease and grace, such solemnity too, one could see he was wise the moment one looked in his face. He had bought a large map representing the sea without the least vestige of land, and the crew were much pleased when they found it to be a map they could all understand. What's the good of Mercator's North Poles and Equators, tropic zones and meridian lines? So the bellman would cry, and the crew would reply, they are merely conventional signs. Other maps are such shapes with their islands and capes, but we've got our brave captain to thank. So the crew would protest that he's bought us the best, a perfect and absolute blank. This was charming, no doubt, but they shortly found out that the captain they trusted so well had only one notion for crossing the ocean, and that was to tingle his bell. He was thoughtful and grave, but the orders he gave were enough to bewilder a crew. When he cried, "Steer to starboard, but keep ahead larboard," what on earth was the helmsman to do? Then the bowsprit got mixed with the rudder sometimes, a thing, as the bellman remarked, that frequently happens in tropical climes when a vessel is, so to speak, snarked. But the principal failing occurred in the sailing, and the bellman, perplexed and distressed, said he had hoped, at least, when the wind blew due east, that the ship would not travel due west. But the danger was past. They had landed at last with their boxes, portmanteaus, and bags. Yet at first sight the crew were not pleased with the view, which consisted of chasms and crags. The bellman perceived that their spirits were low, and repeated in musical tone some jokes he had kept for a season of woe. But the crew would do nothing but groan. He served out some grog with a liberal hand, and bade them sit down on the beach, and they could not but own that their captain looked grand as he stood and delivered his speech. "Friends, Romans and countrymen, lend me your ears." They were all of them fond of quotations. So they drank to his health, and they gave him 3 cheers, while he served out additional rations. "We have sailed many months, we have sailed many weeks, 4 weeks to the month you may mark, but never as yet, 'tis your captain who speaks, have we caught the least glimpse of a snark. We have sailed many weeks, we have sailed many days, 7 days to the week I allow, but a snark on the which we might lovingly gaze, we have never beheld till now. Come listen, my men, while I tell you again the 5 unmistakable marks, by which you may know, wheresoever you go, the warranted, genuine snarks. Let us take them in order. The first is the taste, which is meagre and hollow, but crisp, like a coat that is rather too tight in the waist, with a flavour of will-o'-the-wisp. Its habit of getting up late, you'll agree that it carries too far when I say that it frequently breakfasts at 5 o'clock tea and dines on the following day. The third is its slowness in taking a jest, should you happen to venture on one. It will sigh like a thing that is deeply distressed, and it always looks grave at a pun. The fourth is its fondness for bathing machines, which it constantly carries about, and believes that they add to the beauty of scenes, a sentiment open to doubt. The fifth is ambition. It next will be right to describe each particular batch, distinguishing those that have feathers and bite from those that have whiskers and scratch. For although common snarks do no manner of harm, yet I feel it my duty to say, some are boojans. The bellman broke off in alarm, for the baker had fainted away. And that was Fit the Second of the poem The Hunting of the Snark by Lewis Carroll. A wonderful little poem. Well, that was your poem, Deep Thought. Now answer a question for me.
All right. The answer you are seeking is yes. The average color of the universe is known as cosmic latte.
Not this again. No, that was not what I was going to ask.
Really? All right then, what do you want to know?
Look, what's this artifact we found on Cleos 9 a couple of weeks ago?
It is part of a weapon that was being developed by the quartet to combat the ancient enemy. Unfortunately, the pieces were not brought together and assembled in time to prevent the quartet's extinction.
Wait, this is part of a weapon.
And possibly the only chance that sentient life in the galaxy has for survival. Anyway, I need to go. You are about to be captured, I think.
Wait, what? I can't see anything on the scanners. Deep Thought?
He's gone again.
Well, let's bring our audience up to date on the story so far. For those who came in late, I am your host, the deaf writer and captain of the starship Pentameter. Just before the Earth was destroyed in the year 20,324, I was kidnapped by an intergalactic intelligence named Deep Thought, who mistook me for Dorothy Parker. Go figure. Deep Thought gave me my ship and told me to seek my destiny, whatever that might mean. I am now the last human being alive in the galaxy, and, accompanied by my robotic first mate X-37, I have made it my mission to keep human culture alive by beaming poetry into the cosmos once a week. Press-ganged into the service of the Krell Emperor, we were sent to investigate the sudden silence of some remote Krell outposts, on pain of being skinned and boiled in vinegar. The first outpost we visited, Outpost 21372, appeared to have vanished without a trace. While investigating, we discovered a galactic enemy returning after 30,000 years to wipe out the advanced life forms in the universe. We arranged to meet with a Krell envoy to pass on the news, but no envoy arrived. We then tried to contact the Emperor directly, but have not been able to get a signal through. At the third and final target of our reconnaissance mission, we received a strange transmission that led us to recover an ancient artifact buried beneath the planet's surface. We have no idea what it does and are studying it, while our enemies continue their pursuit and as we continue to try to report back to the Emperor. Now, where am I? Technology is proving a bit of a challenge today, folks, in our broadcast.
Captain, I'm picking up some unusual energy readings at the moment.
Energy readings? Show me what's happening.
It looks like there are some Krell ships nearby.
Oh dear. Looks like we have some trouble. We've been surrounded by Krell ships. They are sending us a signal demanding that we surrender and that they are going to encapsulate us in a stasis field. Personally, I'm of the opinion, you and whose army? Oh. In that case, I think we'd better just surrender. Looks like we're in a bit of trouble.
Just great. Looks like we've been captured by the Krell. Well, with a bit of luck, yeah, we may be able to get to the bottom of what's been happening and clear up any misunderstanding that's happened with the Krell Emperor.
Don't count on it.
In the meantime, I'm going to throw to our credits and then wish you all a wonderful day. So here are our credits. The original poems that you've been hearing by the deaf writer are copyright and cannot be used without permission. All other poetry is in the public domain. The artwork on the site is licensed via Envato, Game Developer Studio.com or Microsoft. Poem illustrations are original works created by the deaf writer and subject to copyright. All sounds are licensed from Envato. The recording of Gymnopody is provided royalty-free by museopen.org. Go.animation was created by Jack Robotham. Poetry Quest game was also created by Jack Robotham, and I forgot to promote the game. Never mind, we'll do it next week maybe. This production is copyright 2025. No Krell were harmed during the production of this stream. And thank you all so much for joining me today. Thank you, Be Like Dory, for joining the show. Thank you, Jack J. Ward, for joining our show. Thank you to Fizzband DM for joining the show today. Of course, to my mods, Robotham J and Tim Tam, great to see you as well. It's been fantastic to have you all here, and I hope to see you again sometime soon. Hopefully, without having been executed by the Krell Emperor. Have yourselves a marvellous day. So long, farewell, and thank you for all of the fish.